Ladies and gentlemen, we need to talk about the ghost that refuses to stop haunting women's basketball. We need to talk about the specter that has taken up permanent residence in the nightmares of coaches, players, and entire programs across the country. We need to talk about Caitlin Clark, because what Dawn Staley just admitted on camera should tell you everything you need to know about the seismic shift that has occurred in this sport. Dawn Staley. The Dawn Staley. National championship winner, one of the most respected figures in the history of college basketball, a coach who has built a dynasty at South Carolina, who has mentored some of the greatest talents to ever lace up sneakers at the collegiate level. This woman looked into a camera and essentially confessed that the memory of what Caitlin Clark did to her program still lingers like a wound that refuses to heal.
Thank you. Happy Easter. Happy Easter.
All right, now we'll open it up for questions for Coach. We'll go David, Kareem, Howard, Cameron, and work our way back.
Dawn, last year I think you said that UConn kind of out-hustled or out-talented you, but not out-hustled it. Do you feel the same way today?
Yeah, it kind of felt like the same thing. I thought they just came out and disrupted from a defensive standpoint, and then they pretty much got what they wanted offensively. And then when they didn't, they created second chance opportunities, and we just didn't have it today. We tried, but we just didn't have it today, and they were the better team today. So, really, congratulations to them. I'm glad sometimes you're a part of women's basketball history, and it's not favorable to you, but you can see if you're going to lose to a team like UCLA, you want to lose to a team that just really outworked you, out-executed you, made it very difficult for you to perform at a high level. And it was a direct reflection of what they did to us.
Take our next question from Kareem. Just a reminder, no filming within the room.
Hey, Dalton, Kareem Copeland, ESPN. Can you kind of sum up a little bit what this weekend was just kind of like for you? The highs of Friday, a rough one today, and a little bit of drama in between?
It's great. We got a chance to play on the last day of college women's basketball, a season of a lot of great basketball, great talent, great coaching, just great viewership, great. When you're in this position, you don't win all of them. There are too many great teams out here, too many great players and coaches that decrease your chances of winning national championships. The trick is to continue to get here. And the more you get here, the more you increase your chances of winning. So we got a lot of work cut out for us, but I really enjoyed the weekend. I enjoy, every challenge that basketball creates. I enjoy facing them. I enjoy playing the hand that I'm dealt. And this weekend includes that.
I want to stay to our left with Howard.
Howard Megdal, the 9 Sports. Dylan, congrats on the season that you had. Just a similar question to what I asked Tanaya and Raven. Just how do you see them as WNBA players, and maybe make the case for them, ahead of next week?
Yeah, I think they are well-rounded individuals from a basketball standpoint. They are great humans. So you want somebody in your franchise that that's going to come to work every day. On time, early, come in early, stay late, and then everything in between. They're great teammates. They're people that you want to play with. One, they're winners. Two, they just had a lot of basketball experience. And I just think that they're ready. They've created pro habits. So a lot of what someone that's unprepared for a WNBA training camp, they'll be prepared for it. Maybe the terminology will be a little bit different, but when it gets down to basketball, they can be coached by anybody.
Cameron, next.
Cameron Teague with The Athletic. Dawn, Cameron Teague with The Athletic. Dawn, I'm curious, that first quarter, it seemed like there were good looks that you guys were taking that just weren't dropping. how hard is it? Like, it seemed like, obviously, the first semifinal, you guys were able to kind of get going in that second half, but it just seemed like just couldn't get in a rhythm after that first quarter. How hard is it to kind of dig out of that when you got good looks, but they're just not dropping?
It's really hard. I mean, I thought the first quarter, first half, we had a lot of people taking shots that, aren't normal for us. So we didn't do a good job of getting the people that probably was supposed to get some better looks, the ball. But I think UCLA had a lot to do with it. Not going to say that they didn't. They really did. I didn't think we had to play perfect basketball, but we had to play better basketball. We had to, make shots. We had to create offense for our defense. We had to be better defensively and actually pushing them off their spots. I think they got to where they needed to go, and we just didn't apply enough pressure for us to make an impact on the offensive side of the ball, because you can have a good defensive possession, but give up an offensive rebound that's just really deflating.
Take our next question from Jonathan.
Thanks. Jonathan Tannenwald, the Philadelphia Inquirer. Dawn, I know that the sting of a loss is still present in the short term, but Corey Close was speaking up here yesterday after you were here, and she spoke about how you had invested in her as a coach. And if not quite exactly the student beating the teacher, but to know that somebody who you invested in has now had that success, even though it came at your expense. What does that mean for you in the game?
Look, I'm always happy for people who've worked hard, in this game, who are really quality people. I want good things to happen for them. And Corey is one of those people who really works at making our game better. Not just UCLA, but our entire game. She's always speaking out and uplifting our game in so many areas that it's hard to continue to do that while maintaining the job that you have to do every day, but she finds the time. So, although we didn't win, I could swallow it because we lost to a really good human being and a good team that represent women's basketball well.
I'm going to stay to our right, Coach.
Dawn, Annie Costable, Front Office Sports. When you say the team didn't have it today, is that a mental aspect? And what challenge do you kind of face in the game in attempting to pull them out of that state?
Well, I mean, we scored how many points? 51 points, right? I think we could score about 70 on any given day. You could tell shorts were shot. I thought we didn't do a really good job at making extra passes. Like the things that we were doing probably worked for other teams, but other teams didn't have a 6-7. So you gotta navigate a little bit differently. Like you can't go in there thinking you're gonna score over her or through her. So sometimes you gotta go in there and draw and kick, and maybe draw and kick another time. So we actually wanted to do that, but we took the first shot available, and sometimes that shot didn't go. A lot of times that shot didn't go in, and we weren't creating extra possessions for offensive rebounding, something that we do a lot. So the things that we, built our success on weren't happening for us tonight, and UCLA made us pay for it.
Take our next question from the back.
Hi, Coach. Charlotte Moore, FI360 News. Again, congratulations on another great season. Want to see, how did you feel about was the game difference in a team that has never won a championship versus your team that has multiple championships? Do you think that played a role? And my second question is, I know you said that everything else would be addressed, but was there any impact of that distraction coming into this day? Did you feel that with your team or with yourself?
UCLA is a quality team with very experienced players who got a taste of, being in the Final Four last year, and you make adjustments. You use that experience as a learning lesson, and you come back sharper, and you put yourself, you increase your chances of winning. And from last year to this year, they played determined last year, but they played more determined this year because they were so close and they've had the experience to do that, and they took advantage of it. As far as distractions, no, I don't. I mean, there weren't any distractions that caused us to lose this basketball game.
Our next two will go Bill and then Jeff.
Hey, Don, again, congratulations. Bill Roden with ESPN's Anscape. Just curious, both you and Corey, no matter what the situation, you always talk about the game, growing the game, no matter what. It's always growing the game. So I'm wondering now, what's the next mountain to climb for the game as you look forward?
I mean, obviously there are, talks of, transfer portal, just getting a hold of, the free agency part of our game. I'd like to see, we got units now. We'd like to just see us increase those because that's where the value is. The value of our sport is going to be how much we can pour back into our budgets, how much we can actually be looked at as a sport that is revenue producing. So we're going to always be challenged with trying to make that better. I mean, it's a start, but it's not a start in which, ADs at the end of the day aren't going to look at, what we're spending and what we're doing, in a sport that isn't bringing in enough revenue.
Take our next question from Jeff. It's going to be center, Coach.
Jeff Metcalf, Sports 360 AZ. For Hawkins to have 21, 10, and 5, how impactful was that on what happened here?
Yeah, hard matchup. Hard matchup. I mean, you come in the game, you know exactly what she's going to do, and she does it. And, I mean, it's hard. She's relentless. She's a relentless rebounder. She's a relentless, just championship-type behavior and intangibles that's needed in order for you to win. And if you don't prioritize her on the court, she's going to make you pay. And she did that for us, against us.
We'll go to our right.
Hey, Dawn, Chapel Fowler with the State. I know it's early, but can you just look ahead to next year's roster and where you might look to add in the portal, if at all, to next year's team?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we got to add some guard plays, definitely some lead guard play, and just some more athleticism in the guard department. So I think our front line is pretty good, especially the ones that are coming back from injury and coming back into to our team. So we got to add some guard play.
Going to shift back to our left with Lindsay.
Lindsay Gibbs of CBS Sports. 6 straight Final Four, 3rd straight national championship game. 1, 2 of those, 2, 3 in 5 years. You know the stats. That level of success. Do you feel like you've reached the point where, over at UConn they always say that, well, the pressure is if you don't win a national championship this season, people feel like this season is a failure. Do you feel like South Carolina has kind of reached that point, and what does that pressure feel like?
Well, we feel the pressure anytime we lose a basketball game. I mean, everyone goes crazy when we lose one basketball game. It's hard out here. It really is hard in our sport. So, I mean, we do feel the pressure. We're used to winning, and we're used to winning at a pretty high clip. How long you sustain that, we don't know. We just try to wake up, every day and just be better than we were the day before. To get here is hard, and to win here is harder, right? So we just have to keep getting here and just, make adjustments when we don't win. So obviously we got smacked today. We got to figure out how we smack back and put ourselves in a position where we're hoisting the trophy at the end of the day.
Let that sink in for a moment. Let it marinate in your mind. We are not talking about some mid-major coach complaining about a tough loss. We are talking about the architect of a powerhouse program admitting that one player from Iowa came into her building and left psychological wreckage in her wake. She shocked the world. She destroyed the plans. She dismantled what South Carolina had built piece by piece, and the reverberations of that moment are still echoing through the halls of Williams-Brice Arena. Think about the names on that South Carolina roster. Aaliyah Boston, one of the most decorated players in recent college basketball history. Camila Cardoso, a dominant force in the paint who was supposed to be unguardable. Raven Johnson, a talented guard who had all the tools to compete at the highest level. These are not scrubs. These are not bench warmers. These are elite, top-tier talents who were supposed to be the foundation of another championship run. And Caitlin Clark walked in and made them all look like they were playing a different sport entirely. This is not hyperbole. This is not exaggeration for the sake of content. This is the cold, hard reality of what happened. And the fact that Dawn Staley is still processing it months later tells you something profound about the impact one generational talent can have on an entire landscape. But here is the thing that makes this story even more compelling. Dawn Staley is not alone. She's not the only coach or player who has been left picking up the pieces after an encounter with the beast from Iowa. The trail of destruction stretches across conferences, across programs, across the entire structure of women's basketball. Let us talk about Hailey Van Lith for a moment. Remember her? She was supposed to be one of the premier guards in the country when she transferred to LSU. She was supposed to bring that Angel Reese-Hailey Van Lith combination to the forefront of the national conversation. She was going to prove that she could compete with anyone, anywhere, at any time. And then she had to guard Caitlin Clark. What happened next was not a basketball game. It was an annihilation. It was a systematic dismantling of confidence, of game plan, of everything Hailey Van Lith thought she knew about her own abilities. The reports afterwards suggested she was mentally shattered by the experience. That is not an insult to her talent or her work ethic. That is a testament to the otherworldly ability of the person she was tasked with stopping. You cannot guard greatness. You can only hope to survive it, and many did not survive. Angel Reese, she talks a big game. She has the personality, the swagger, the social media presence. But when the moment came, when the spotlight was brightest and the stakes were highest, Caitlin Clark made her look ordinary. She exposed the gap between good and transcendent. She showed the world that there is a tier above the tier that everyone thought was the top. This is what separates the truly great from the merely excellent. The excellent players dominate their matchups. The truly great players dominate the conversation, the narrative, the very fabric of the sport itself. Caitlin Clark has become the benchmark against which every other player is measured, and most of them are coming up short. Now let us pivot to something that is frankly infuriating. Let us talk about Nike, because what they are doing right now borders on corporate malpractice. You have the most marketable, most talked about, most electrifying player in women's basketball history sitting right there. She is available. She is willing. She is the golden goose that every brand should be fighting over with bags of money and teams of lawyers. And Nike, the company that built its empire on athletes exactly like Caitlin Clark, is apparently not going to release an official signature sneaker until after the season. After the season, I need someone at Nike headquarters to explain this to me like I am a child, because it makes absolutely no sense from any business perspective I can imagine. You have a player who is about to enter her first WNBA season with more anticipation than any rookie in the history of the league. You have a built-in audience of millions who watched her in college, who bought her jerseys, who filled arenas just to catch a glimpse of her in person. You have the opportunity to capture lightning in a bottle at the exact moment when the electricity is at its peak. And you are going to wait? This is like having tickets to the Super Bowl and deciding to show up in the fourth quarter. This is like being handed the winning lottery numbers and choosing to play them next month instead. The moment is now. The hype is now. The appetite for Caitlin Clark merchandise is at a fever pitch right now, and Nike is apparently content to let that energy dissipate while they work on their timeline. Meanwhile, every knockoff, every unofficial product, every opportunistic seller on the internet is going to fill that void. They are going to capture the revenue that should be going directly to Caitlin Clark and to a company that had every opportunity to dominate this market from day one. It is baffling. It is incompetent. It is the kind of decision that makes you wonder who is actually running the ship over there and whether they have any understanding of the cultural moment they are currently fumbling. Caitlin Clark is the GOAT. That is not a debate at this point. That is a consensus. And the GOAT deserves to have her signature shoe ready when the world is watching, not as an afterthought when the initial wave of excitement has already crested. But let us bring this back to where we started, because the Dawn Staley revelation is the headline that matters most. The greatest coaches in the game are admitting, whether explicitly or through their body language and their admissions, that Caitlin Clark changed everything. She did not just win games. She did not just put up statistics. She broke something in the collective psyche of women's basketball. Every coach who has to game plan against her knows the feeling. Every player who has been assigned to guard her knows the dread. There is a before Caitlin Clark era and an after Caitlin Clark era, and we are all living in the aftermath of a basketball revolution. The WNBA season is coming. The nightmares are about to spread to a whole new set of opponents. The destruction is about to continue on a professional stage with higher stakes and brighter lights. And somewhere, Dawn Staley is watching, knowing exactly what those coaches and players are about to experience. Welcome to the Caitlin Clark era. Get comfortable. It is going to last a very long time.